Do you ever feel like your content isn't truly reflecting the value that you bring to the table? Maybe you struggle to articulate what makes your office worth investing in, or you shy away from positioning yourself as the expert. If that sounds familiar, you are not alone. In today's episode, we're unpacking how self worth affects your content, how to clearly define and articulate your value, and practical techniques for creating content that positions you as the expert that you are. Because here's the truth: when you recognize your worth, your audience will too. Welcome to the Powerful Content Podcast, your go to source for content creation, strategy, and business inspiration. I'm your host, Mel Daniels, content strategist, coach, and speaker, empowering women across the globe to grow their business with powerful content that connects, nurtures, and converts. So, if you're ready to create standout content that gets you noticed and remembered, or build an aligned audience who love you and are ready to buy from you, you're in the right place. I believe that content has the power to connect us all. It's up to you how you use it. Listen in for genuine and insightful chats with guests, as well as practical tools and strategies from me. It's so lovely to have you here. Let's dive into the show. I acknowledge the Wongal people of the Eora Nation as the traditional custodians of the country that I am recording from today. I recognise their continuing connection to the land and waters. I pay my respects to elders past and present and extend that respect to all First Nation people listening today. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to episode 155 of the Powerful Content Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you spending this time with me, especially when there's so many other options out there. Now, today's episode is something that I struggle with from time to time. Hello, imposter syndrome. So I thought I'd share a bit about my experience, what conclusions or ideas that I've come to, and some tips on how you can begin to address the problem too. And this problem is underselling yourself and your services, not just from a dollar perspective. I think that we all second guess what we charge for what we do, but from a content perspective. I know that you know how important content is. And at the end of the day, it's actually what sells your thing, because you're taking your ideal client through a journey of connecting with you, subscribing to your list or content, nurturing them before they're ready to buy from you. Many small business owners create great content, without a doubt, but really struggle to sell because they don't fully own their worth or don't know how to communicate that worth. And this often leads to things like underpricing, over deliberating, or just hesitating to promote your amazing offers. As a result, I think there's three things that really do impact creating content that reflects your value. Firstly, how you value your self-worth, and then how that impacts your content. Second, understanding how to clearly define and articulate your value. And lastly, how to position yourself as the expert that you truly are. Believe it or not, there is a direct link between the content that you create and how you view your worth. When you're confident in your expertise, you will communicate more clearly, directly, and be far more convincing. And if you want to know more about stepping into your expertise, make sure that you go back and listen to episode 153. You are already an expert. Now, when your self-worth is low, you might find yourself downplaying your expertise. You might be thinking things like, I won't share this because everyone already knows this, or I'm not experienced enough to talk about this. You may find yourself fearful of being too salesy. And this is a really big one. This is about feeling uncomfortable talking about your offer, which also may have a deeper fear of rejection, and not charging enough or over delivering. And this is about feeling like you need to prove your value instead of actually just owning it. So, what can you do to shift these thoughts and start owning your worth and showing this in your content? So, instead of saying, who am I to share this? Or I'm just one of so many others doing this, maybe shift that thought to something like my experience, my approach, my perspective are uniquely mine. And the way to do this is to be 100% clear on what your core beliefs are as they shape your message. And if you want to know more about this, I talk about it in my book, The Power of Content, which you can purchase from the link in the show notes. Now, instead of saying something like, I don't want to be too pushy and being fearful of selling, perhaps shift that thought to, I'm helping people who need what I offer. This is about a service before sale mentality. It's a crime, really, not to let your people know about what service you provide because let's face it, you're awesome. And perhaps instead of saying to yourself, I need to give more or provide more free resources or record more videos for people to be able to see my worth, you can shift that thought to the possibilities or the outcome that I provide my clients is valuable as it is. I don't need to provide more in order for them to pay what it's worth. And this is about understanding the possibilities you create in the life of your ideal client. Now, if I look through your social media account or read your emails that you've sent me, there will always be a few red flags if you don't quite believe in your worth. And perhaps you may notice that you've been doing this. If you don't believe in the value of your worth, you'll unintentionally communicate that in your content. And that is being hesitant through really vague messaging or avoiding selling altogether. But the key thing here is that your worth isn't about being better than others. It's about fully owning what you bring to the table and communicating that clearly. Okay, so the second thing to creating content that reflects your worth is being able to identify what makes your offer valuable in the first place. And hint here, your value is more than just what you do. People don't just buy services or things, they buy solutions, they buy confidence, and they buy results from you as a person. If you need a new website, you're probably not going to go with the first person whose social media post pops up on your feed. You're going to want to know who the person is providing the service, whether you resonate with them, and whether you could see yourself actually working with them. You'll likely also have a call with them to confirm they are who you think they are. So instead of focusing on features, for example, I offer strategy sessions, highlight the transformation, those possibilities that you create in someone's life. So, for example, I could say, my clients gain clarity, confidence, and a content plan that feels doable. Very different from I offer strategy sessions. The next thing is to understand and define your value. You need to be really clear on the transformation your offer provides. Do you know what? I used to find this concept really overwhelming as it was really, really difficult for me as a heart led entrepreneur to see that I was doing anything that was special. To me, I was simply serving my clients and giving them what they needed. This may be true, but I now know that being able to articulate why clients are happy with what I provide within my content helps more potential clients understand what their life can be like after working with me. So, to do this, you really need to look into the before and after experience for your clients. So, perhaps for me, before working with me, my clients might feel overwhelmed with content, and after, they have a clear system and confidence in their message. So, you can see a clear distinction between what they were thinking, feeling, or doing before and what they were thinking or feeling or doing after. Another way to look at transformations is to look at testimonials, feedback, or even comments on posts or replies to emails where people might express some gratitude. So, if people always say, I love how you simplify content creation, which by the way they do, that's a key part of your value. So pick out those words, those things that people really love about what you do and how you do it. And don't be afraid to ask more questions of people. If you want to dive deeper into the feedback that they've given you, the more specific that you can get them to be, the easier it is for you to articulate your transformations. The other thing that sets you apart with your offers is quite simply you. You have specific skills, experiences, and perspectives that set you apart. It may be a unique framework, method, a philosophy. You may have faced and overcome the same struggles your audience faces. And you definitely have beliefs around what is possible and available for your audience and around how your industry operates. So, for example, for me, the shoulds of content marketing just drive me absolutely crazy. So, something that sets me apart is that I actually help entrepreneurs create content without following cookie cutter strategies because I know firsthand how disappointing and frustrating they can be. So at the end of the day, the clearer you are about your value, the easier it becomes to communicate this through your content. So now that we know that believing in your self-worth and the value of our offer impact how we come to the content creation process, let's get a little bit practical here and talk about how to create content that really communicates your value. And once again, you can go back to episodes 153 and 154 for more about thought leadership and having the confidence to be the expert that you are. But for now, I'm just going to give you a few specific examples. So we know that telling people how good we are isn't enough. They need to be able to see it in action or hear it in action. And the way that we can do this is through storytelling that has an expertise focus. So instead of just saying, I am the expert in content marketing, you can demonstrate it through some real examples. You could perhaps share client success stories, things that you're working on with clients with permission, of course. Please, please, please make sure that you ask for permission, or utilize your own experiences, especially if you're working on your own business, using the methods or frameworks that you actually use with your clients. Now, a great example of this is I love to share at the beginning of each year how I use my mind mapping technique in conjunction with AI to come up with an entire year's worth of ideas for my content calendar. So similarly, if I do this exercise with a client one-on-one, I'll share the mind map, once again, with permission, of course, with the before story and after story, something like this client used to waste hours every week staring at a blank screen. Now that we've created this mind map, she has enough content ideas for an entire year and has got back over 2 hours of her time every week. So real concrete examples of the before and the after. Now, I might talk about this in an email or on socials, and then my call to action would likely be my course on how to do it yourself, or I would encourage people to join the Content Effect for expert support on how to do this exact same thing. The second practical thing that you can do in your content is to be really specific and tangible. So once again, avoiding vague statements like I help people create better content, which is true, but when I use concrete outcomes, it might sound something like I help entrepreneurs ditch content chaos and create a streamlined system that saves them over 2 hours per week. Or I show you how to reimagine your existing content so you never have to start from scratch again. It's a subtle but impactful difference and proves that your offer works. And the last type of content that you could create is educational content that highlights your value. Now, this could be in the form of a behind the scenes type content, which shows your process in action to highlight the depth of your expertise, or you could do it through educational content that teaches something valuable in a way that positions you as a leader in your field. And this could focus on your unique method or beliefs. Just realize here that the more specific, relatable, and transformation focused your content is, the more that people will recognize your value. Now, last of all, I really think that content should be created with intention. Every single piece of content needs to serve a purpose, whether it's to connect, subscribe, nurture, convert, move your ideal client along in that client journey with you. And when you understand the possibilities that you create, then any piece of content has very simple parts. It calls out the problem or the current state. It highlights an insight or a specific desire. It talks to the solution and the transformation. So this podcast does exactly that. It calls out the problem being you have no idea what to say to attract the right people to see your worth and buy your offer. And then it moves into insight or desire. So it's not really your offer or how you price it that determines your value. It's how you communicate your value through your content. And the solution would be join the Content Effect, my membership, to know exactly what your ideal client needs to hear from you that draws them in and keeps them wanting more. So when you confidently communicate your worth in any piece of content, whether an email, podcast, or social media post, the right clients will be drawn to work with you. Okay, so I know that we've kind of unpacked a lot today in a short period of time around value. So I just want to highlight the key takeaways for you. The first is to understand that your self-worth impacts your content. So start flipping that inner mean girl script. You are enough as you are, and you are ready right now to stand out as an expert. The second thing is clearly defining your value makes content creation easier. People don't buy your thing, they buy what you can give them and how you deliver it, and it's up to you to communicate that. And show your worth through focusing on the transformations or the possibilities. And you can do this through storytelling, being really specific, and transformation focused messaging. And if you'd like to reflect more on the content of today's episodes, here's a few questions that you might like to ponder. What are my unique strengths, experiences, or perspectives? What truly sets me apart? How comfortable am I with selling? And what mindset shifts do I need to make around promoting my offers? And lastly, what possibilities do I create for my clients? And how can I articulate that more clearly in my content? And if you'd like support to define your message and articulate your transformations, then I'd love to invite you to join us inside my membership, The Content Effect. You'll be supported by resources and templates, plus a community that wants to see you succeed. Remember, your expertise is valuable. Own it, communicate it, and be confident to let your content reflect it. Talk soon. Thanks so much for listening. That's it for another week. To get more powerful content in your life, make sure you're following along on socials. My handle is @meldbusiness. And just in case you're wondering, the groovy music for this podcast was created by Just Here on SoundCloud. I'd also be super grateful if you took a moment to rate and review this podcast so more amazing women like you can experience the power of content. And if you're like, hell Mel, stop talking, I'm ready to work with you now, here's how we can work some powerful content magic together. Firstly, come and join the Content Effect, my membership inspiring women with service-based businesses to ditch the content chaos and start creating stand-out content that gets you noticed and makes sales. You can join us by using the link in the show notes or just Google the Content Effect. The second way we can work together is via my one-on-one packages. We can create a sustainable content strategy or start to build out your client journey. It's up to you. Hop on over to meldbusinessservices.com.au/services to find out more. Until next time, have a beautiful week and embrace the power of your content.